Hey there, Chris again. It's Sunday, February 20th, and I'm back on my next leg of my hike around the lake. I'll be going north from the Glendale Bridge. I guess that would be clockwise towards the dam today, and I think I got a pretty good day to do it. Looks like it's gonna be nice and sunny, but hopefully there's still some good ice, especially around the dam, and we'll see what happens when I get out there. But looks like a great day to do this, and we're going to get started. But I'm right under the bridge, and you can hear the cars going. You can see the ice under the bridge, at least, is kind of sketchy, but a lot of fishermen out in the main part of the lake, the better areas of ice. So feeling pretty good about that. See you in a bit. Here at Arrowhead Cove, C219 behind me here, and this is the first kind of crossing of any sort of tributary I've got. Let's go a little further up. Sank down in the mud there a bit. Got like one little stream here, and then the main unnamed tributary there. I guess it's Arrowhead Run or something. I don't know. It's never been named on any map that I've seen. But hopefully I know there's not a lot of stream crossings in this route. Conditions have been pretty good so far. Good mix of the shoreline's pretty solidly frozen, so that's pretty good for walking along that. The rocks aren't shifting, and then when I can walk on the frozen area that's right off the shore, I can usually walk on some packed snow, and that's got pretty good traction. But right now I'm gonna have to go all the way up to the little culvert here, cross up there. So things are already starting to break up a good bit, but I think the conditions are gonna be good for today. Well, so Arrowhead Cove sucked a little bit, actually. It was kind of broke through in that snowy area back there. Went through, luckily, wearing gaiters, so the mud wasn't like the real liquidy mud. It was kind of thicker, so I don't think I'm going to get any soak through, but that would suck to get boots soaked the first hour I'm out here. And then crossing over that culvert was another bit of a challenge I wasn't expecting. It was just real slick, muddy and all that there. But I'm on the other side of that now, and things should be good for a while. I don't think there's another big stream tributary to like Red Run area, or this Mayhew Inn area there. That's what's going to be nicer about this northern stretch of the hike, northern half of the lake. A lot fewer tributaries coming in, but now we're here at Arrowhead. This is the first planned dredging project that the state is going to conduct. So as soon as you create an artificial lake, it starts filling in with sediment. And these kind of very slow-moving little streams that feed especially the southern half of the lake are always carrying sediment that collects and ends up silting up the coves. So through a lot of machinations, state legislature and all of that, there's going to be a pilot dredging project at Arrowhead Cove here to dredge it, just make it more navigable for more of the year. And then I don't know what the plan is yet for the disposition of all that silt. It's probably pretty good stuff for growing, for farming, so hopefully they'll be able to reutilize that. But you know, there's always issues with, does it contain toxic material? And then another issue is you have to make sure you take it back out of the watershed, because essentially you've just moved you just pile it up somewhere where in the watershed, you've just moved the problem, and it's going to just eventually run back into the lake. So those are all the kind of issues that happen here at the lake. The stuff that you know, the state people and county and then the public interest groups are interested in, to keep the lake a great place to be and live at. So enough of the sermon. It is Sunday, but hopefully I won't get too many sermons going today. And we're coming up to the point of Arrowhead, I guess point. And looks like some ice fishermen are out there. But I don't know if you can hear. Let's try to stop walking. There's a, I don't know what sound that is exactly. A groan, a moan almost, but that is definitely the sound of ice moving, kind of the tectonics of the ice cracking. You know, you get those big fissures as they slide against each other. They make those kind of whale sounds almost. You know, and to some degree, you know, it's still safe when you're out on the ice and you can hear those sounds. You know, you have a big thick sheet of ice, 6 or 8 inches thick, and it still is sliding against another one. You're still pretty safe at that point, but when you start hearing that a lot, it's probably time to move off the ice. I have to admit to a little cheating here. I realized that when I got around the Arrowhead point that I'd lost my sunglasses, and it was probably when I'd slipped crossing over the culvert where Arrowhead runs in. So I stopped here at the Honey Arrowhead complex, probably the only place where I could just walk right back about 5 minutes and check, and I did find those sunglasses. So that was nice, because my other option was I could have just bought a new pair at Arrowhead for, you know, a little bit of a markup there, and got a coffee. So, you know, this is my challenge, so I guess it's only cheating if I say it is, and I don't say it's cheating. But back on the shore, back on the hike, definitely warming up a lot. That was why I wanted those, make sure I got the sunglasses. Looks like it is going to be clear skies all day today. Going to start warming up. Forecast I saw was mid-40s, so that will be very nice and pleasant. So carrying on here. finished shooting some drone footage. Still along that 219 stretch. Kind of coming up on Brenda's and the Trader's Landing area. Yeah, just did the drone footage that went pretty well. Wow! That was pretty loud. It wasn't like anything big, but that whole stretch right there just cracked. Kind of scared me, but I'm up on the shore here, so things are definitely starting to move around, break up a little bit. Good to be aware of surroundings and all that. You know, big thick ice out in the middle, I'm sure, but the areas near the shoreline, you know, are starting to thaw up. Even the ground is starting to soften up some more. So, to paraphrase Game of Thrones, spring is coming. My least favorite season. I hate spring. Muddy. It's just it's cold usually. You know, it's just the perfect conditions not to be able to do cool stuff outside. I mean, you can go hiking, but that usually turns into a mud fest. You can't do anything in the water yet. No snow sports. So my perfect vision of the seasons would be 4 months of winter, starting, let's see, December, January, February, March. Solid winter, snow on the ground that whole time. Then, yeah, maybe a month of spring. Then you get into like 6 months of summer. Nice, temperate 80-degree days. And then a month of fall. You know, everyone loves the foliage. I guess it's alright, I like it, but again, fall is another season where it ends up just being kind of cold and wet. Tough to do a lot of fun stuff outside. So, if anyone has any connections with you know, any evil geniuses who are working on a weather machine, that's my test run for them. I am currently under the 219 bridge. That's a pretty cool shot right there. And the stretch from Uno's to here was a little bit more difficult than I was expecting. Just a lot of mix of big rocks, you know, strips of it where the water's kind of thawing, so I couldn't cheat, walk on the ice. So I'm hoping, now we're out of the main area of the lake, a little less windy in these narrower parts, should be a little easier going. But nice landmark to make it to. And here's to some continued smooth sailing along the rest of the way. It's about 11:30 and gone about 5 miles. I believe this is Smith Run along where it crosses Lakeshore Drive. So I think that's generally where this little inlet is right here. Thankfully very easy to cross little stream here, especially compared to some of the rest of the ones that I've crossed before. Picked a time when it wasn't windy, but it's fairly rocky, so it's a little tough to talk and walk at the same time along this stretch. But very nice, as I expected and hoped. Once I got past the 219 bridge, I'm doing this stretch along Lakeshore Drive. The walking has become a lot easier. I've been able to cheat a little bit on the frozen stretch right along the shoreline when it got bad, but for the most part, it's fairly sandy and level along this stretch for now. That's the interesting thing, is it seems like it can change pretty quickly. The wind, that's another interesting thing, is kind of changing, following the shoreline, you're changing direction pretty often. So the wind comes and goes, the sun comes and goes. But so far, temperature-wise, I'm feeling very comfortable. Got some rubbing on one of my boots, but either you just stick with it, or get a blister and deal with it later. But got a big kind of a crossing coming up here. Maybe this is Smith Run. That thing before me was just a little tiny stream. This is pretty nice. Kind of a nice little wide stream there. So I'm going to concentrate on crossing this and not falling in. Looks like we're coming up on the cove that's the end of Lakeshore Drive. So Lakeshore Drive will, up there, will meet into Mayhewen Road, and right at the end of this cove. So I think Lakeshore Drive is probably the longest stretch of road along the lake, if I'm not mistaken. So feels like I've been walking along this same stretch for a long time. Even though you can't really see the roads, you kind of know where you are in relation to them. So it'd be nice to at least be on a different road side, kind of more psychological than anything else. But yeah, it's been very quiet. I've run into a couple of people just walking along, doing their own hikes. One couple said they thought that they wanted to get up at like 4:30 this morning and do the whole shoreline. So they kind of looked at it and saw it was 60-some miles that would not be doable in one day. But maybe one of these days I'll make a backpacking trip out of this and camp somewhere along the shoreline. But that's a project for another time. I've still got, when I started today, I had completed 45 miles, I think, was the southern end. So 20-ish to go, according to the official estimates, anywhere from 60 to 70 miles. It really doesn't seem like it's gonna. It seems like it's gonna be a good bit more than 20 miles to do this northern half of the lake. I think last time I looked, it was about 6 miles. And yeah, I've got to still get to the dam, then all the way from there back to the Glendale Bridge. So it seems like it's going to be more than 20 miles, but we will see. I've got a big dock in the way here. I'm going to cheat a little bit. Go out in the lake. I've been trying to stay on the shoreline, but when the walking is so easy like this, it's a little tough not to cheat. When you feel pretty confident in the ice, you can walk along here, and even if I broke through at some point, just be up to my knees or thighs or something which would end the trip for the day. But I just call my wife in humiliation and tell her I was done for the day. But it's been pretty quiet. I haven't had a whole lot to say this time around. I did realize that I've never done a little bio, so if you're interested, I'll do the who am I real quick here. I was born here in Garrett County. My folks went to high school here. Southern grads. For any of you locals watching this, I was kind of a good student, bad kid combo. So by mutual agreement of everyone, I went to boarding school down in Hagerstown, and that somewhat seemed to do the trick. I went to college in Jersey, Drew University, got my bachelor's in physics from there, which I kind of discovered was good if I wanted to teach, go into academia, but at that level, bachelor's degree in physics doesn't do a lot. But it did qualify me to apply for the Navy's Nuclear Propulsion Officer Candidate Program. That sounded pretty cool, and I did that. Was accepted and became a nuclear engineering officer, surface warfare officer, mainly on board a carrier, USS Dwight D. Eisenhower. But I got to do a lot of cool Navy stuff. That was a tour of 6 years. And when that was up, I realized it was cool stuff. I liked doing it, but I spent about 3 of those years at sea. I was more of a homebody than I thought. So I moved back here and spent a blissful summer as a bartender. But I kind of realized that I needed to do something that had some long-term career potential with my life. So I found some opportunities in Morgantown, kind of stitched together a number of consulting and technical service jobs, and involved in a couple startups, but kind of discovered not a great entrepreneur. Got a lot of unsuccessful business ventures under my belt, both full-time and part-time ones. But luckily I did discover that I'm pretty good at spending your tax dollars. So I got a job with the U.S. Department of Energy's National Energy Technology Laboratory. That was about 15 years ago. And that's great stuff. We do research related to mitigating the impacts of fossil fuel usage. We focus on capturing or technologies that capture and store carbon dioxide to mitigate the impacts of global climate change. So great stuff. I do a lot of the analysis, long-term forecasting to look at the benefits of those technologies that we research. So I was lucky to get into that. Really enjoy that work. On a personal note, married my wife Lisa for 10 years. We have a couple boys, 15 and 20. So great boys ages. They're starting to feel the empty nest coming in. So we're looking forward to that. So that is my little life in a nutshell. And I'm sure I bored the heck out of you. So I'll sign off until the next little clip. I just came in and out of Red Run Cove there, and I'm definitely cheating a little bit right now, but my quest, my rules. Yeah, when you kind of put artificial rules on these and just start making it a miserable experience, then it's just not enjoyable anymore. I was honestly not enjoying the first part of today's hike at all. It was just that stretch from Mahoney to the bridge just was really rough. The ice was broken up, so I couldn't walk along that. Shore was tough. you know, real rocky, and then the rocks were frozen over. So I was kind of, you know, I'd fell a bunch of times. It's kind of one of those times of like, is this really worth it? Why am I doing this type of thing? But yeah, once I got past the 219 bridge, it has been a lot better, a lot quieter too. Like, I just kind of realized how much nicer it is along this stretch with none of the road traffic noise, just the incessant babble of me talking about whatever comes to mind. But yeah, especially since I can cheat a lot more on this stretch, it makes it a lot nicer to do this. The other thing I realized was I never really talked about the history of the lake. So generally, the lake was started, I guess the official birthday is 1925. That's when the turbines were switched on for the first time. I think the actual construction of the dam that dammed Deep Creek started in 1923. It took them a couple of years to build that. You know, back in that day, it was very inaccessible. It's still fairly inaccessible, so they had to build a special little train line to get the workers and equipment out to the site. And they built what's called an embankment dam, which is essentially just a big pile of dirt that holds up, holds back the water. But the project was originally, and still is, a hydroelectric dam, which means that some of the water is directed through piping that goes underground to a lower elevation powerhouse. And there are two turbines that the water rushing through the pipes gives the energy to those turbines. They spin and they generate electricity. So that is still a primary purpose of this lake. That was back in 1925, was, big growth in America, big demands for new electricity sources. And there were actually, I believe, 2 other dams that were proposed by the Pennsylvania Electric Company, which built the Deep Creek Lake, that would have dammed the Youghiogheny River and created similar projects along there. I think just the financing and logistics and all of that didn't come through on those. So now today we have one lake, Deep Creek Lake, but conceivably most of the county would have been a lake if those two other projects on the Yough had gone through. But when the power company originally built the lake, it was for power generation, and then became gradually a recreational resource as well. So I'm going to sign off for a second while I figure out what I want to do here, and part 2 will be in the next one. Kind of forgotten my history lesson I was doing. Got lost in thoughts. So I saw the dam. So up ahead, not very exciting. Big kind of hill at the end of the lake. That's the dam. So where was I in the history there? It was, I think it just dammed up the lake, and hopefully the wind is not going to be too bad on the sound here. Learn to try and be a little protective of that. Maybe I'll turn it around here. Walk and talk. Hopefully the wind is not blowing across the mic there. I was going to invest in, some real high-end equipment, external mic, all that stuff. I'll do that when I reach 1 million subscribers on YouTube. How's that sound? So it's pretty windy right here. I think I'll forego the history lesson because that just makes the sound really annoying to listen to. Well, the battery died on my video camera, so I'm doing some phone video, I guess, for the rest of the trip. And just in case, I don't know when the camera died, here is the dam in front of us. Not very exciting. Like I said, it's just a big pile of dirt. A little more technical than that, but essentially that's all it is. Over the right a little bit, you can see the intake, and then kind of down the hill there, underground, there's piping that goes down to the powerhouse where the water is released through the turbines, electricity, all that good stuff, and then released into the Yak. So, I'll probably wait for the wind to die down to do another history lesson. I don't know how the wind gets picked up on this mic, but it's usually a lot of noise. It makes listening to it very annoying. But this is a pretty nice, cool scene. Well, I made it across the area where the dam is. Didn't do a lot of video on that because, feds, they get touchy about all these energy infrastructure stuff. I used to do a little bit of that work, and, the less video and stuff that's out there, the better. But I'm stopping for lunch. Got a really amazing lunch of leftovers from a birthday party we had at Ace's last night. So highly recommended. They put on a great spread, and we got tons of leftovers. So I'm having the gourmet lunch. And remember, no picnic basket, blanket, or necktie wearing bears are anywhere in sight, so this is not a picnic. That is all. I'm out on the stock slodger stretch of the hike. Kind of that, I don't really know the name of this little tributary either, right at the point. So the dam is back that way. Got a, stump point over there. So some little tributary comes in up here. But definitely starting to thaw up on the shoreline, and there's a pretty big gap in a lot of spots of water, open water, and coming up here. But the outer ice, or the ice further out, seems to be pretty solid. No creaking and groaning. These are kind of interesting here, where looks like the ice has actually sunk or just been maybe driven down. So that's some sort of geological term for that. Subduction, is that right? Maybe. So I did a little drone footage earlier. That was pretty good conditions anyway, but it is tough to hike, pilot a drone, make sure the video's coming in well, all at the same time. So, if I ended up publishing it and you suffered through watching it, then just be aware, it's not super easy to do all that stuff at once. But fun. I think it's fun. It's probably a matter of practice. A lot of times I just need to remember the spin. When you turn, when it's facing the opposite way, you have to spin it the opposite way, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, things are going well. It is about, I think, 2:30 right now. And I am just going to keep going probably until it's dark, because that's when my wife is coming to get me. She's teaching jazzercise class at 4 to 5. You know, it's getting dark about 6, so I'm going to soldier on. Plus, there's not a lot of great places to get out here. I don't know. There's one spot at some point where there's a state right away to get you onto Sandy Shore Road. And I think I could probably do it up here and get right to the road. I think the state property goes all the way to the road here. But other than that, if I'm trying to be respectful of people's property, then there's no other spots that I can get off the lake without crossing someone's property. So enough. The less said about that, the better. Nothing much to report. It is a little bit after 4, and I am probably just right next to Shingle Camp Road area. So I am closing in on the end of this stretch where I'm going to be back in sight of the 219 bridge here pretty soon. So it's really a matter of how long do I want to keep going, how much daylight do I have left, where do I want to take out and then put in for the next one. Because yeah, we really want to try and get this done in the next couple days. Hopefully the ice will hold up, and that just makes it so much easier. You know, some of these stretches where it's real rocky. I did that back in December. I did some of these stretches, scrambling over rocks, under trees, you know, that kind of stuff. But I'll admit it, it's nice just to be able to walk on the frozen part. It's nice and level. And this spot, for the last probably 20 minutes, has been really nice, just snow-covered ice that has great traction. There have been some spots where it's just kind of pure ice, and I did bring some yak tracks, but if you walk with those for a while, you really start to feel them. You know, they just create pressure points on your feet, so they're great temporary things. But yeah, just switching them in and out didn't seem to be a practical solution, so I just walk on the snowy ice when I can and shuffle along on the smooth ice when I have to, and then scramble through the rocks and the overhanging trees when I absolutely have to. Well, it's about almost 5, and I made it back to the 219 bridge. And you know, my wife's pickup is probably around 6, so I'm just gonna keep knocking it out. Conditions are great, and you never know how long they're gonna be good, so take advantage while you can. It's gonna be probably maybe 17 or 18 miles altogether today, but yeah, when you got the conditions, take advantage of it. And it's been a beautiful day. Kind of over the first couple humps of just being unhappy doing it. I think that's the trajectory for a lot of hikes and trips like this. Maybe starts out great, kind of hit a first wall. Today that was just what should have been the very easy stretch of along 219, but you kind of keep getting over each of the humps, and then you just get into this zen frame of mind. I feel like just kind of hit a time warp here of how fast I feel like I'm going. I mean, again, the conditions are great. Definitely way easier walking on this surface than over there. Hey, I'm gonna tap the activity tracker here, and behind me is the Wisp, so I've made it that far. I don't remember what the tracker said as far as the miles, so it'll be in the video, but it has been a pretty epic day. So it was a good hike and knocked out a lot of miles while going was good, and one more stretch to go, and we'll see. I think it's going to be well over the 64-mile mark, just based on what I've got left to do and what I did today, but we will see. Till then, till my next leg, I'll see you out on the lake and in the county.